Hello. Um, can you hear me? Right. So welcome everyone. I hope you all are having real fun in this first WordCamp Pokhara. Um, as a speaker, I'm here to talk about WordPress project management lifecycle and how to meet expectations of your client. So how many of you are new to WordPress? Like you haven't been practicing WordPress for 2 years and so it's just beginning. You have new clients, right? Then you must be feeling a little bit trouble making them understand what WordPress actually is, because all they want to do is build a website, right? And we need a lot of information which they don't have. So today I'm here to talk about all these things, basically to share my personal experience. So I am Niranjan Udas. I am currently involved with Genes Software Solution, also involved with the Gandhi College of Engineering Science as a part-time teacher. And I've been working with WordPress since around 3-4 years, probably. Right. And through that time, I have been with a lot of clients. So I have had many Nepali clients in local market. Also, I have dealt with a lot of clients in countries like UK, Australia, Japan, Qatar, places like that. So when I talk with clients these days, so we have a set of, let's say, process that we run through. And I wanted to share them with you so that it will be useful for you. Maybe you could relate, maybe it's all boring to you. I'm not sure. So I hope you can take something from me, from my presentation. All right. So whenever there comes a WordPress project, any project, software project, there is a proper life cycle. We all have some idea about it. You don't have to really go through textbooks and videos to understand this. So what happens first is the client comes to your office, or you meet at a cafe somewhere, right? Then what you do, you talk with them. They want to build a website. Then you analyze. So is it doable in WordPress? Always be honest with your clients. Okay. So if it cannot be done with WordPress, if it's too complicated for WordPress, don't do it. First suggestion, right? So analyze that, and then what we do is then we gather information. So what should be there? How many pages should be there? What should home page should look like? How a home page should look like? What kind of plugins might be required? What kind of forms are needed, right? So we do all those talking, and then what happens? We go to our team. We discuss with them the budget that might be required, or the time frame that it might take. Right? Then we come back to client. We tell them, okay, it's going to take this long. It's going to take this much money. And then we reach an agreement and start our work. Then we go back to the team. We distribute work. We gather all the plugins, bring all the pieces together, build a website, show it to the client. Client gives feedback. That feedback, we work on those feedback, and then, again, present it to the client. Client is happy. We deploy the project, and we hopefully get full payment, and that's fine. That's gone. Then we move on to next project. There should be some support as well, right? So that's how an ideal project management cycle should be. It could be a different model based on your preferences. So even if we have a fixed kind of project management lifecycle processes, we don't really follow them because of a lot of problems. Like we have very small team to go through that. We have little time. We are looking at how big the money is, so we want to make the client really happy and give them like whatever they ask, right? So all these things hamper our project management process. So we should be very careful, because if you look at the only short-term outcome of your project, it will be very difficult to manage your project overall, and it will be very difficult to manage the expectation of the client. So the major process, the part of the process, what I find very important in this whole life cycle is the requirement process, because it is that moment when you actually understand the project. So you know what to do, you know what is required, you know how you can make the client happy, you know if you have enough resources to accomplish it, if you know if your budget is going to be enough, right? Or you know if the other projects will not be affected. you know if you have the skill set. So requirement process, in our context, in context of our common developing community, what I have found is, again, there is no fact based on it, so I'm just a personal experience, right? So what I found is we spend really little time analyzing the whole requirement. If you are at college and you have to get involved in a project as per your curriculum, what you do is you first think of an idea. Suppose I want to build an e-commerce site. So what you do is you don't sit with friends and talk about the functionalities you need. What you do, you go home, somebody starts building the login page, somebody starts to build, create users table in your database, and then the other person starts to create the login forms and then put logic in it. But you don't know what you are actually going to accomplish at the end. So that makes everything really blurry, and it's really messy at the end, right? And it's a bit difficult for you to finish the thing on time. So requirement process is very important. We must think about this. It is required to make your clients happy. So I'm going to compare two of my best and worst, two of my experiences. One is the best experience, one is the worst experience. So the best experience came from a foreign client, and the worst experience came from a Nepali client. So I'm not trying to be biased here of any kind, like I'm not saying our country is bad or anything, but it's talking from a personal perspective, that's what happened. So how foreigners send the requirements? So they know the exact features they want. What is the user supposed to do? Can they register? Can they subscribe to something? Do they need MailChimp? Or do they need contact form 7 only, if that's fine? Does the form submitted from contact form 7 has to be stored somewhere, the data? Or it's just emailing is fine? So they know all these things. So they send exact features. They have Photoshop designs. If they don't want to use themes, if they want to build their custom themes, they send themes such that every single pixel is counted. Right? So if the button is here, and when you design something, your button comes here, then they will immediately say that, hey, it's not according to the design, fix it. Right? So they send Photoshop design so that it's easier for the developers. Then they send the number of pages, how many pages are going to be there. Home page, contact page, about us page, booking page, blog page, packages page, right? So they know exactly what pages they want and what should be there in each and every page. Then they have the specific feedback. They know exactly what's not right. If they think something is not right, they know exactly what it is. I will talk what happens in terms of a Nepali client, the bad Nepali client, in the next slide. And they have fixed deadlines. So we are developers. Until there's a time when we feel like this project cannot be completed, we are not working, right? So that's how we are. And then we would do projects overnight and then try to finish the thing. But when Nepali or any client does not give us a deadline, it takes really long, right? So they give fixed deadline, and they have the project indication of project completion. So when does this project end? What is the condition which we can check to tell that, okay, this project is complete, now we can move on to next thing. They give the exact same thing. Now, when it comes to a Nepali client, they don't know what is required. So when they come, they want a travel agency site, right? They are a travel agency, and they want to display some packages. Now, what happens with the packages? Is it a booking thing? Do they need online payment, or they don't need it? So they are not quite sure. But they know they want to build a website, right? And then they always have a set of competitors' websites in hand. So, यस्तो छ यो साइट, यो दुई तीनटा साइटहरु लिएर आएको छु, यो हेर्दिनुस्, ठ्याक्कै यस्तै चाहियो, but with some added features. In some area that's great, because you know exactly what needs to be built, right? Because you have a working prototype there. And if you are smart enough, you can inspect element, find the theme and plugins, and you can just build it easily. But the problem is they want some added features. And again, after 3 days, they come with another set of competitors' website, and then they want to cramp everything into one single website. And that makes things really, really difficult, right? And then they want everything to be cheaper, but should be of high quality. bargaining गर्ने बानी छ नि हामी नेपालीहरुको. So, and then they don't want to pay advance. So when we start work, we have dedicated our time. We dedicate some of our servers, databases, right? Some of our resources even. But and that advance is the assurance that even if this project does not go to the end, we at least have some kind of assurance that our resources are not wasted, right? But I don't know, they don't want to do that. At the end of the project, they know something is missing, right? के भन्छ भन्दा खै के पुगेन जस्तो भयो ठ्याक्कै थाहा भएन के पुगेन. Now, we did everything we could, right? We have this mindset. We did everything that we could, that was possible, and then they come and say, oh, I don't know, something is missing, and we ask them, what's missing? Please tell us. We'll fix it, right? And then they're like, I'm not expert in this. You are expert. Please fix it. So, what are we supposed to fix? So that's a very difficult thing. So the feedback is not exact. And finally, paisa. They don't want to pay the whole amount because they don't know what they want. We have not been able to, we don't know what they want even, and we did our best, but at the end they are like, I don't know, something is missing. So obviously they are not happy. And if you are not happy, you don't want to pay the full amount. That's human nature, I guess, right? So हामी पनि त्यस्तै हो लुगा किन्दाखेरि केही मन परेन भने अझ जति सक्छ घटाउन खोज्छौँ. Similar. Now, these are the problems that I have faced personally. Now, what to do about this? These obviously can be solved. Oh, and another one is the fault of the project manager as well, not just the client. Right? There are faults in developers, project managers, clients, everywhere. So what does project manager say? ठिकै छ उसले पैसा दिँदै गर्छ अलिअलि बनाउँदै गर थीमहरु इन्स्टल गर्दै गर. No, you just install theme, you put in plugins, anything like you can do. Let's just start the work so that we can get some money. That is going to make things really, really complicated because you are taking the job that you don't know. Like you have no idea what's going on, right? Now to solve these problems, I'll come back to that chart later. So how can we make this better? So we need to first have a proper understanding of the requirement, right? We need to know what's going to happen, what's going on. Then we need to have an implementation document. That's something that we came up with. I don't know how popular it is, but I'm going to explain that a little bit later. And we need to set some realistic deadline. So what we used to do when we were first starting was we used to ask our colleagues, like, how long are you going to take to develop this feature? And the person will say, well, 4 days. Then when we talk with the client, the same task, I would say, like, okay, we're going to take 8 days for this. Because I know that we set some really unrealistic deadline. If we finish things faster, that's fine. Clients will be happy, right? But if we don't have the realistic deadline, the happiness level, keeps on decreasing, and there will be trust issues then. No one is going to be happy with that. And there should be a complete indication of project completion. So, okay, यति गरे पुग्यो भन्ने टाइपको certain assurance, we need that. Then we must make the clients understand the difference between feature addition and support. So how many of you understand the difference between feature addition and support? Nobody? थोरै भए पनि? Okay, one person in the room, 2. So feature addition is adding a completely new functionality. So suppose there is no login mechanism in your website whatsoever, right? And then the client says, okay, I want users to log in. So if you are putting a login module, there will be some parts where some contents should be hidden from the users who are not logged in, right? So when you change one thing, there will be a lot of changes that you would have to make. That's feature addition. But say you have a contact form in your website. When you press the send button, the email is not delivered. The feature is already there. It's just not working, right? That is support, right? When so your bike किन्दाखेरि केही बिग्रियो भने त्यसलाई बनाउन मिल्छ, नयाँ कुरा त थप्नलाई त छुट्टै एफोर्ट टाइम लाग्छ नि, right? So that difference we must understand, and we must make the clients understand in the very beginning, before we even take the project. And then we need to do this. We need to take on the process of proper project handover. So should there be some documentation? If there should be some manuals written, right? If you have to hand over the whole code, or you need to sign some contract, you need to do that. Because once there is a proper indication of project completion and handover, the client will have the psychological effect that, okay, this project is done now. If I need something more, I need to pay more money. So, first, this implementation document that I have skipped, I'll talk about that a little bit. So, there are some modules in WordPress that will always be there. Like there are some fixed things. For example, pages, blog posts. If you want to share the post to some social media site, some forms, right? Some widgets, footer, sidebar, banner images, titles, subtitles, contact details, maps. These are always going to be there. So if you know certain things like which are always going to be there, it's always best to ask from the clients if they need those things. And if they do, then ask them for the content. For example, in this chart, I don't know if you can see, in the very first column, there is the basic idea of the project. So what's the title going to be? What's the subtitle going to be? So where are you going to host it? The domain name, and the email addresses, right? And then there are some social profiles, like do we have Facebook page that we need to link, Twitter page, LinkedIn? We list that and ask for the URL. Then there are contact details that you need to show in your contact page, like maps, phone numbers, addresses. So is the map in Google Map itself already, or do we have to create that for you as well? Such things you must ask. So what happens with this is, when you have all this data with you, the only thing you need to do is bring pieces together, and the process is really fast. The developer does not have to just sit there, email the client all the time and wait for the reply. Client is also busy with his or her own business, right? And then when the developer has all the things they need, they don't have to stay in office, watching YouTube videos or browsing to Facebook. So the efficiency, the work load is distributed, the efficiency is high, right? So this is an example of an implementation document. So basically, it is just just putting down everything that is required in paper in a WordPress way, right? Because we already have a fixed set of things that is required in WordPress. Okay, so why am I sharing these things? I wanted to bring this in this stage because we don't have fixed process. Client does not understand how WordPress works. Right? For example, so if you want to go to a school or college and you want to get admitted, there's a fixed set of rules that you need to follow. Everybody knows that. They have not sat down and written those rules down, because they have developed this process. You need to have this admission fee or entrance exam, and then these processes are already there. So what as developers, we need to do is we need to set such standard as well. Maybe we don't have to, again, have a conference and decide how we should deal with this. So we can understand what's going on with other people, and then we can implement the best practices, remove our worst practices, right? And work with the client. And then there will be a trend where everyone will understand what is required, so that a system will be set, a process will be set. It's a long process. It's a very far-fetched idea, maybe, if you think about it right now. But we have to do this to make our work easier, to make the clients happy, to make a quality WordPress site. So for that, these are all these ideas. But again, the most important thing is to share ideas and experiences with your friends, with your competitors even, because we are not that big. We don't have this big competition yet. So we can, again, share ideas and learn from each other so that we can improve the process, make everyone happy. फाइन ठिक छ सो जस्तै हुन्छ नि घरमा मम्मीले बनाएको खाना चाहिँ एकदम मिठो हुन्छ किन हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि सानैदेखि प्र्याक्टिस गर्दै आउनु भएको छ नि हैन पकाउँदै आउनु भएको छ प्र्याक्टिस गर्दै आउनु भएको छ सो द्याट मेक्स थिङ्स एकदम टेस्टी अब इफ यु हेभ हर्ड कतै अरूसँग भेट्नु हुँदाखेरि पनि दे टक अबाउट फुड ओ यो कसरी बनाएको के हालेछ यसमा द्याट्स सेयरिङ एन्ड देन वर्किङ हार्ड on your own. So that's what we need to do with our WordPress as well. We need to be the cook of our kitchen. And WordPress is our dinner. Right? So thank you, everyone.